The gathering storm, the Krell Empire had ruled the Outer Rim for 300 years. Their warships were massive, built from dark metal that absorbed light itself. Commander Vex stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Fang, watching the distant blue planet on his display screen. "Primitives," he said, his 4 eyes narrowing with contempt. "They have barely left their home world." His second officer, Grix, nodded in agreement. The reports were clear. These humans had only 12 colony worlds. Their ships were small. Their weapons were old. This would be an easy conquest. The Krell had destroyed many civilizations before. Some fought back. Most surrendered. It made no difference. The Empire always won. "Send the first wave," Vex commanded. 20 Krell warships broke formation and moved toward the human colony of Frontier Station. Each ship was 3 kilometers long, armed with plasma cannons that could melt a city in seconds. Frontier Station was a small mining outpost. 5,000 humans lived there, pulling rare minerals from the asteroids nearby. They had seen the Krell fleet appear at the edge of their system. They had sent distress signals to Earth. Now they waited on Earth. Admiral Blake stood in the command center deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean. He was 50 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent his entire life preparing for this moment. "How long until the fleet arrives?" he asked. 18 hours, sir," replied Lieutenant Parks. She was young, barely 25, but her hands were steady on the controls. "Too long," Blake said. "Frontier Station won't last 18 hours. He looked at the tactical display. The Krell fleet was massive. 200 ships. Maybe more. Intelligence had warned Earth that the Krell were coming, but nobody expected them to bring their entire armada. "Send the message," Blake ordered. "All ships, full speed. No delays." Across Earth's solar system, humanity's war fleet began to move. Ships emerged from hidden bases on Mars, from the dark side of the moon, from the frozen moons of Jupiter. They had been built in secret over the past 20 years. Ever since Earth first learned about the Krell Empire, the Krell thought humans were primitives. They were wrong. At Frontier Station, Mayor Tom gathered the colonists in the main hall. He was a big man with rough hands and a kind face. "The fleet is coming," he told them. "Earth has not abandoned us. We just need to hold out." "Hold out against that?" someone shouted, pointing at the display screen. The Krell ships were getting closer. They would be in firing range within the hour. "Yes," Tom said firmly. "We hold out. We're humans. That's what we do." The colonists began preparing. They had mining lasers that could be used as weapons. They had tunnels where people could hide. They had hope. Commander Vex watched Frontier Station on his screen. The small human settlement looked fragile and unprotected. "They have no defense fleet," Grix reported. "No orbital weapons. Nothing." "Fire a warning shot," Vex ordered. "Give them a chance to surrender." A single plasma beam shot from the Eternal Fang, striking an empty asteroid near the station. The rock exploded in a flash of white light, splitting into 1,000 pieces. Tom watched the explosion from the station's command center. His jaw tightened. "Send them our response," he said. The message was simple. No. Vex received the response and laughed. It was a harsh, clicking sound that echoed across the bridge. "Brave fools," he said. "Destroy them." The Krell warships moved forward, weapons charging. In the darkness of space, energy began to build in their cannons, but something else was happening. Something the Krell did not see. Far behind Frontier Station, space itself began to shimmer. Reality bent and twisted. And then, one by one, Earth's warships began to arrive. The human armada had come to war. The thunder of War Admiral Blake stood on the bridge of the Hammer of Terra, Earth's flagship. Around him, 200 human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They formed a perfect battle line between the Krell fleet and Frontier Station. "All ships report ready, sir," Lieutenant Parks said. Blake nodded. He opened a channel to the entire fleet. "This is Admiral Blake. Today, the Krell Empire learns that humanity is not prey. We are predators. All ships, weapons free. Show them what we are." On the Eternal Fang, Commander Vex stared at his display screen in confusion. The human ships were small, barely a quarter the size of his warships. And they looked strange. Smooth hulls. No visible weapons. Odd geometric shapes. "What are those?" Grix asked. "Does it matter?" Vex replied. "We outnumber them. Fire all weapons." The Krell fleet opened fire. Hundreds of plasma beams shot across space, bright green streams of superheated energy that could melt steel in microseconds. The human ships moved. They didn't scatter. They didn't retreat. They simply shifted, faster than Vex thought possible. The plasma beams passed through empty space where the human ships had been just a moment before. "What?" Vex began, and the humans returned fire. The hammer of Terra fired first. Slots opened along its hull, and thin beams of pure white light shot out. They weren't plasma. They weren't lasers. They were something else entirely. The beams struck 3 Krell warships. For a second, nothing happened. Then the ships simply came apart. Metal peeled away like paper. Internal systems exploded. Atmosphere vented into space. In 5 seconds, 3 massive Krell warships became clouds of debris. Impossible. Vex shouted. Grix was checking the sensors frantically. "Commander, those beams. They're disrupting atomic bonds at the molecular level. Our shields can't stop them. Our armor can't absorb them. They just destroy everything they touch." Across the battlefield, human ships were moving in patterns the Krell had never seen. They dodged and weaved like birds, their smaller size making them impossible to track. Every human ship fired those terrible white beams, and every beam meant another Krell warship died. Captain Ross commanded the destroyer Swift Vengeance. She was 32 years old and had trained for this battle her entire adult life. Her ship danced between 2 Krell cruisers, firing at point-blank range. "Target destroyed," her weapons officer called out. "Moving to the next." "Make it quick," Ross said. "We have 20 more to go." The Krell tried to adapt. They fired spread patterns, hoping to catch the human ships in a wide net of plasma. But the human ships had something the Krell didn't expect. Predictive computers that calculated every possible firing solution in microseconds. On Frontier Station, Mayor Tom and the colonists watched the battle on their screens. They had expected to die. Instead, they watched the Krell fleet being torn apart. "By God," Tom whispered. "They're winning." A young miner named Jack stood beside him, tears running down his face. "Earth didn't forget us. They really came." The battle lasted 17 minutes in that time. The human armada destroyed 73 Krell warships. Not damaged, not disabled, destroyed. Turned into floating scrap metal and bodies. Commander Vex realized he was going to lose. The thought was impossible. The Krell Empire never lost. But his fleet was dying, ship by ship, and the humans had barely taken damage. "Retreat," he ordered. "All ships retreat." But Admiral Blake wasn't finished. "Target their flagship," he commanded. Full power. The hammer of Terra and 5 other human battleships focused their weapons on the Eternal Fang. The white beams converged on the massive Krell ship, pouring endless energy into its hull. Vex watched his ship die around him. Systems failed. Bulkheads collapsed. Fire spread through the corridors. "This isn't possible," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "We are the Krell. We are the conquerors. How can primitives The bridge exploded. Commander Vex never finished his sentence. The Eternal Fang broke in half, both sections spinning away into the void. The remaining Krell ships turned and fled, jumping to faster-than-light speed, as fast as their engines could manage. Admiral Blake watched them go. He didn't pursue. The message had been sent. All ships, damage report, he ordered. Lieutenant Parks checked the readouts. 12 ships with minor hull damage. 3 with damaged shield generators. 0 casualties, sir. Blake allowed himself a small smile. Contact Frontier Station. Tell them they're safe. On the station, the colonists erupted in cheers. Tom grabbed Jack and hugged him tight. People were crying, laughing, celebrating. Earth had sent its fleet. And the fleet had won. Asterisk. The aftermath. The news spread across the galaxy in days. The Krell Empire, undefeated for 3 centuries, had been crushed by a species nobody had heard of. A species that called themselves humans. A species from a small blue planet on the edge of the galaxy. In the throne room of the Krell home world, High Commander Drax sat on his obsidian chair, listening to the reports. His scales were dark red, a sign of his ancient bloodline. He was 400 years old and had seen the Empire grow from 10 worlds to 200. 73 ships, he said slowly. Commander Vex destroyed. The entire assault fleet, gone. His advisor, an old Krell named Torque, bowed his head. Yes, High Commander. The humans have weapons we have never seen. Technology we don't understand. And losses on their side? Minimal. Perhaps none. Drax was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice heavy with a feeling the Krell rarely experienced. Fear. Send ambassadors to Earth. Offer a peace treaty. Tell them the Empire wishes to negotiate orders. The word tasted like poison in his mouth. The Krell Empire had never negotiated. But the Krell Empire had never faced humans before. On Earth, Admiral Blake became a hero overnight. Parades were held in every major city. Children wore toy uniforms and played at being fleet commanders. The United Earth Council awarded him the Stellar Cross, the highest military honor, but Blake didn't attend the parades. He was too busy. In the command center, he stood with Lieutenant Parks and Captain Ross, looking at the galactic map. Red markers showed Krell territory. Blue markers showed human space. And yellow markers showed the other civilizations scattered across the stars. They're all watching us now, Blake said. The Krell, the Vorn Collective, the Trade Union. Every species in this sector knows about the battle. Is that bad? Parks asked. Depends, Ross said. She pointed to a cluster of yellow markers. The Vorn have been fighting the Krell for 50 years. They've been losing. If they think we're potential allies, then we might have friends, Blake finished. But if they think we're a threat, then we might have more enemies, Parks said quietly. Blake nodded. Prepare a diplomatic team. We need to make contact with the other species. Show them we're not conquerors. We're defenders. At Frontier Station, life was slowly returning to normal. The colonists had buried the few who died in the initial Krell bombardment. They had repaired the damaged sections. They had sent messages to Earth, thanking the fleet for saving them. Mayor Tom stood at the memorial site, looking at the names carved into the stone. 5 people. 5 humans who died because the Krell thought humanity was weak. Never again, Tom said to himself. Jack approached from behind. The Council is sending construction teams. They're going to build a real defense platform here. Weapons, shields, the whole thing. Tom smiled. Good. No colony should be undefended. Do you think the Krell will come back? Jack asked. Tom looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Krell Empire was licking its wounds. making plans, deciding what to do about the new power in the galaxy. Maybe, Tom said. But if they do, they'll find us ready. 3 weeks after the battle, Earth received its first alien visitors. But they weren't Krell. A small ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. It broadcast a simple message. We are the Vorn. We seek alliance with humanity. Admiral Blake met with the Vorn ambassador in Geneva. The alien was tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. She spoke through a translation device. Your victory over the Krell has given hope to many species, the ambassador said. For decades, we thought the Empire was unstoppable. You proved otherwise. We defended our territory, Blake replied. Nothing more. You did more than that, the ambassador said. You changed everything. The Krell rule through fear. But fear only works if nobody can defeat them. You defeated them, easily. Blake leaned forward. What are you proposing? An alliance. The Vorn Collective. The Rim Worlds. The Free Planets. And humanity. Together, we can push back the Empire. We can bring freedom to the occupied worlds. Blake was quiet for a moment. This was bigger than one battle. This was about the future of the entire galaxy. I'll take your proposal to the Council, he said. But I'll tell them what I think. And I think humanity should stand with those who fight for freedom. The ambassador's face shifted in what might have been a smile. Then perhaps there is hope after all. As the meeting ended and the Vorn ambassador left, Blake looked out the window at the city below. People walked the streets, unaware that everything had changed. Unaware that humanity had just stepped onto the galactic stage. The Krell had learned their lesson. Other species were reaching out. And Earth ... Earth was no longer alone. The human armada had stormed the battlefield and won. But the real war, the war for humanity's place among the stars, was just beginning. Far away, on the Krell home world, High Commander Drax stared at the galactic map. The blue dot representing Earth seemed to glow brighter than before. We will remember this, he said softly. We will remember, and we will return. Stronger, better prepared. But deep down, in a place he would never admit existed, Drax felt something new. Doubt. End of story. Asterisk.